eBay. Why dost thou vex me so? Let's get into the video. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie and this is Hustle and Grow. To all the new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. If you got any questions, if you got any ideas, anything you need to know, drop them in the comments and I'll make sure I answer them either in the comment section or make a video. Also, before we get started, I just want to remind y'all that I started a group. There's about 6 of us in there right now. So the idea is a mastermind group. If you're new to reselling, new to eBay, whatever, join the group. You'll have all your questions answered. I want to start doing some Zoom calls or just some calls where we can get on to help people and do as much as I can, given the fact that I'm not charging. This is a free group. So please join, get all the help you need, and there's no cost to you. Anyway, today's video, we're going to talk about eBay and how they taxing us. eBay taxing us, man. They taxing us. And specifically, what I want to talk about are just the various promoted listing options. So you guys probably already heard about the dynamic promoted listings, okay? Now I'm gonna show you my computer real quick just to let you guys see something. All right, so this is the overview tab. And right here on the overview tab, it says, keep your ads competitive automatically. Save time with promoted listing standards dynamic ad rate strategy that automatically adjusts your ad rates to match eBay's daily suggestions. Oh, doesn't that sound interesting? So if you click on update now, it's going to take you to this page. Okay. And on this page, it'll show you, it'll say save time and stay competitive with dynamic ad rate that automatically adjusts your ad rate to match eBay's daily suggestions. The dynamic ad rate will be applied to the campaign. So these are all my ad campaigns, I guess. Okay, now if you go down here, here's your options. So you can customize. It says to set an ad rate cap. Okay, you go ahead and click on that. It'll tell you set the maximum percentage of a sale you're willing to spend on ad fees when your promoted item sells. Your ad rate will not exceed your selection. So you can set a cap. For instance, you know how eBay's ad rates are all over the place. And you might say, you know what, this game might get kind of crazy and rates might start going up to 15%. So I'm going to set my cap at 10%, which means that no matter how high that rate goes, eBay will not go over your 10%. So they say. How much you trust that, I don't know. Then it says you can modify your dynamic ad rate. And what does that mean? Modify the dynamic ad rate by choosing a percentage above or below the daily suggested ad rate that you're willing to pay. To set an ad rate lower than the daily suggestion, input a minus before the number. That is 1%. So it'll be plus or minus. So what is that saying? It says modify the dynamic ad rate by choosing a percentage above or below the daily suggested ad rate that you're willing to pay. So this is, you can do both of these because you might say, okay, I don't know, I guess it wouldn't make sense to set a cap and to do this, because if you want to go a percent above the daily suggested, and the daily suggested is 10%, but you set an ad cap of 10%, then that really wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean? So you would do either or. I wonder if you can select both. Let's see. Damn, 25%. They tripping. You could use both if your ad rate cap is not going to take you above, you know, if you go a percent above the daily ad rate. For instance, if I kept my ad rate cap at 25%, right? That's crazy. Ain't no way in hell. Anyway, if I kept my ad rate cap at 25%, but then I modified my dynamic ad rate to go plus 1%, so that would be plus 1% over whatever that daily suggested ad rate was. So if daily suggested ad rate is 10%, then eBay would be able to go that 1% over that 10% for me, because my cap is set at 25%. However, if my cap was set at 10%, then you couldn't go over. That's what I'm thinking they saying, guys. And then you would click on update. Now, ain't no way in hell I'm about to update that. So I just did this for demonstration purposes. But this is what I'm getting from this. You can set a cap. The cap could be in conflict with, if you wanted to modify by whatever, up or down. So you can do both, but I would think you would probably just do one or the other. You know what I mean? Probably do one or the other. So let me cancel out of that. And then you would be able to look down here, and I guess it would show up over here somewhere. So those are your dynamic ad rate options right there, which, I mean, it's up to you, man. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I understand it. I'll say that. I understand it. I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with eBay having the ability to basically, I'm setting my budget, but they're still in control of it because they can kind of like manipulate the suggested daily ad rate. Like, as far as I know, let's just say, for instance, you got 10 people promoting a certain item in a certain category, okay? And let's say out of those 10, 8 people promote at 8%, 2 people promote at 12%. For all we know, eBay can just go and say, well, you know what? The suggested rate for today is 12%, although only 20% of the people are going at 12%, not even the majority. So I think my thing is, like, what percent of people need to promote to make that the suggested rate for the day, right? What if it's 10%? What if only 1 out of 10 people promote at that extra high rate and then the rest are lower than that? You don't know. So you might be kind of like playing in the field thinking you competing, but you really only competing with one person. Like, who cares if 1 or 2 people are promoting at that higher rate? But we don't know this because they don't give us that data, right? And so it can get expensive. It can get expensive. And it's going to depend a lot on what you selling and everything like that. I was watching a video on Flipping Ain't Easy. John and them, they was live. I didn't catch the live. I watched it afterward, and they were talking about this. And, he was just talking about the fact that I think he said he's going to mess around with it and give it a try. And if you can't do it, you probably should just kind of maybe think of different items to source. But I get that line of thinking, but also not, there's all types of ways to make money on eBay, right? There's all sorts of categories and all sorts of products to sell. And I guess it's just how much you want to pay. But I did write something down. I just want to show you something else that can help you understand it. Because I think what can happen is, and here's the fact of the matter, most people don't know their numbers. Most people don't pay attention to their numbers. And while you can do this and still make money, you can also do this and lose a lot of money if you just kind of doing it haphazardly, right? So let me show you something on the whiteboard. All right, so here's my example. And this is just a cursory, or this is just like a basic type of example, okay? Now, you can plug in any numbers you want, and I'll show you the apps that I use to get these numbers to make it easier for you guys who really don't like doing math. You can do this a lot faster, but I really feel like if you are going to utilize this, right, and you're going to start playing this dynamic ad and promoted standard game and thing, you really need to understand what's going on. Okay, so look, let's say you got an item, that has a sale price of $20. Okay, now the fee breakdown for that would be this, and this is just going to be an average, guys. So eBay category fee. Okay, now this right here, this $20 example is based on the fees for clothes. Okay, now there's different fee amounts depending on your category, right? So we'll just kind of like, you'll have to check for your category, and I'll show you what apps to use for that. But this is based on clothing because a lot of people sell clothing. Okay, now so you got $20 sale price, and I'm not taking into account shipping, whether or not you're doing free shipping or charging for shipping. This does not take that into account, so you're going to have to also consider that. If you're doing free shipping, this is going to be lower, guys. This is going to be a lot lower. Okay, if you're charging for shipping, I mean, the fee is going to be a little bit different because the fee is going to be based on that shipping cost as well. So again, this is just for simplicity. Okay, $20. Okay, all things considered, clothing category, the fee for that is going to be $2.22. The eBay fixed fee is going to be 30 cents, your promoted listing fee is going to be $2, right? That's based on a 10% fee. Because if you look at the promoted listing with the average daily, with the going rate is usually it's around that 10% in most categories, if not higher. Most of the time it's higher, but we're just going to assume a 10% to make it easier, right? So that's $2. So then your total fees coming out is going to be $4.52. That makes your profit for that item $15.48, okay? And that's just from your platform fees. That ain't considering nothing else. So $15.48. Right there, that's 22.6% fees. 22%. I can guarantee you this. Even with Amazon and Walmart, dude, you ain't paying that much. You ain't paying that much. And even if you closer to 20% with Amazon, like you ain't got to worry about the shipping, the customer. I don't know. But either way, this is kind of how you would break it down, okay? $20 item in the clothing category. The category fee is $2.22. The fixed eBay fee is 30 cents. Your promoted listing fee is $2. That's $4.52 in fees. You'll make $15.48, and that's 22.6% in fees. All right. And again, I'll show you the apps that I use to get these numbers. Now, what I also want to point out is that does not even take into consideration if you run a sale or if you take an offer. Okay. Let's just say you run a 10% sale on that. So that $15.48 is going to be 10% cheaper, which is like what? $1.55, right? And that's going to take you just under $14 of profit. So you got $15.48, all things considered, right? Not taking into consideration some things. This is just clothing. You run a 10% sale. Now you at about 14. I got down $13.93 ish, right? But either way, if you're not paying attention, you could lose a lot of money. Now you down to just under $14. And how much did you pay for the item? So that means you're going to need items that sell at a higher average sale price to really play this game. And not just that, but you're going to have less into the items. It can get kind of dicey, man. It can get kind of dicey. Now, before I continue on and go into a little bit more about, as far as what I think and should you partake or not, let me show you the apps that I use real quick to get these numbers, because you should be using these apps, especially if you're going to be doing this, okay? You should be using these apps. All right. First app I use is the eProfit Calculator. It's a free app. They do have something that you can use, you can pay, I think, but eProfit Calculator. This is an excellent app, guys. If you click on this is where you can get your categories. And you'll see where I chose clothing because most people sell clothing, and if your category is not in there, then you would just select all other. And you can put all your fees in there, right? Your shipping charge, if you charge for shipping, your shipping costs, if you don't, or if you do, because you might charge for shipping and then your cost could actually be lower, and your item cost and even quantity. If you got an eBay store, you can check that. And if you click on here, you can see the fee breakdown. Okay. So it makes sense. That's how I got everything on that board for y'all. Now, let's go back. Let's go look at another app. Okay. The other app is called Omni Calculator. Now this app, I love it, man. There's pretty much a calculator in here for anything you need to know, man. Anything. Look at this. Everyday life, 228 calculators. Finance, 529. It's a calculator for everything, and it's free. So what I did was, I type in percent, and then I just go to percentage calculator. And that percentage calculator, you see, you can do, so for instance, it'll be what is such and such percent of such and such. I went down here, I put in $4.52. So let me put the numbers in. So I put in $4.52 for $4.52 is what percent of 20. and that's 22.6. And I think I did that right. If I'm wrong, y'all, let me know in the no, that's right. Either way, this is kind of how I figured out. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Let me know in the comments below. And we can always check that by doing this. Hold on. Let's go ahead and check that real quick. Yeah, so that's right. That's how you would check that. So that's right. All right, so, I mean, as you can see, if you use that, you really have to know what you're doing. As far as what I think about it, if you're selling on eBay, and especially eBay only, I'm not going to say you don't have a choice, because you do. The question is if you want to be competitive or not, right? And depending on the category you selling. If you selling in a saturated category where there's a lot of sellers, there's a lot of competition, you might be at a disadvantage. But I also want to point out something else. Despite the fact that I don't do eBay as much as I used to, so here's what I do now at this point, because I focus more on Amazon and Walmart. I try to schedule out my listings from 1 to 2 weeks, okay? And I do a minimum of 3 a day up to 5, maybe a little bit more. But I do a minimum of at least 3 a day just to keep the consistency, and so eBay don't start like ghosting my damn store and like the items that I put up on there actually will sell, okay? But I want to show you something. Okay, here's my traffic tab, all right? Now, just doing a minimum of 3 a day, sometimes a little more, right? And this is promoting from 2 to 5%, depending on my items, how long they've been sent, and so on and so forth. My impressions are up. Page views a little down. Quantity sold up. My conversion rate 4.3%. Now my impressions by organic and promoted usually stays around this. It's usually a 70-30 split. And as you can see, my organics are up and my promoted's up too. Although I keep my rates about the same. Like I said, between 2 and 5%. I usually stay at a 70-30 split. And honestly, when I hear other resellers talk about it, they're usually about the same, 70-30, irregardless of the amount that they promote. My impressions by placement are up, right, 38%. The rest of my search slot impressions are up 30%. And my non-search impressions are up 2.8%, okay? This is something that I really care about more than the other ones, is the non-search impressions, right? So your search impressions will tell you, people are finding your item by typing in the keywords they use. So that's an indicator of you making good titles, right? Having good titles. Because if a person can't find your item, you might have an issue with your titles and or your item specifics. So title and item specifics will help you rank higher in the search slot, because that's what people are searching for. So if you use good titles with keywords and have good item specifics, that should be good. This right here is where you're coming up, but this can also be influenced by your your promoted ads, because it says the impressions of your listings, or the impressions your listings got outside of search, such as impressions from similar items or people who viewed this item also viewed modules on a listing page. An impression counts when a link to your listing appears on eBay and the buyer is 1 click away from your listing. So that can be a part of your promoted listings as well. But there's probably a couple factors that go into that. And then if you look down here at my traffic, total impressions are up 6%. And mind you, like I said, this is only making sure that I have at least 3 items a day going live just to have activity. And you see across the board, it's fairly even, right? You got some ups and downs, but it's fairly even. That line's fairly straight for the most part, right? So guys, and I'm not doing dynamic ads. I'm not doing the highest rates. I'm not doing none of that. And I'm still getting some sales. I'm still getting a few sales a day. My weekends are fairly decent. I mean, and I sell in the health and beauty category for the most part. I am putting other stuff up in different categories. But me personally, I'm not going to play the game of letting eBay determine what to set my ad rate at. Even though, as you saw, that you can have a cap on that ad rate. So if I say, okay, you know what, eBay, you can do it, but I don't want you going over 10%. period. Or I don't want you going over 8%. I can see that, right? So if I'm under the DVD category, right? DVDs and Blu-rays, suggested ad rate is 7.4%. That's the suggested ad rate. So that's under 10%. But the margin on most of those things are small anyway. So if you want to play that game, good luck. If I go to, let me see. It's going to go to women's clothing. And I just picked dresses, all right? Suggested ad rate is 10%. 10% on that in women's clothing, right? Let's go to something else. I'm gonna let y'all see this. We're gonna check men's t-shirts. Suggested 10. Let's just pick a random thing. Baby diapering. Suggested 10.1, and that is baby diapering, pads and covers, right? This is just random. I'm just going random now. Let's pick. Let's go to computers, and this is gonna probably be high no matter what. Networking and servers. Let's just go enterprise routers, whatever. Suggested 7.6. Okay, that one's under 10 for now. Let's go. Let's think about something people sell on a regular. Books and magazines. Let's see what book. I would think books and magazines would be under 10, but I don't know. It's pretty competitive. It might be higher. Let's see. And it's under 10, 9%. Let's go. Check another one. What's something else? We check some clothes, books and magazines. What about? So let's go to video games. Let's try video games. Under 10. Surprisingly enough, guys, all of these are 10 or less, which I am very surprised at. I wonder if people are dropping their ad rates because of like it's getting kind of crazy. I wonder if that's the thing. Let's go health and beauty and just pick something. Let's go to makeup. Since I sell makeup, and we'll go face. And let's just look at a concealer. $10. Interesting. How is everything like exactly like 10 or something like that? That's crazy. One more. Let's go. Let's check some antique stuff. I don't know because I don't sell antiques, so I'm going to try to just pick something. Maybe let's just go to the other antique category and see what they got, because there's just too much that could be there. 10 exactly. Now I'm really curious. Let's go to cell phones. Cell phones and smartphones. See if I was listed in that category. 7.7. Interesting. So I'm actually glad I just did that, because that's very surprising. I sell in health and beauty, and I've seen the ad suggested be up there, man, like 11, 12 to 15%. I feel like it's pretty weird that there's so many that's exactly 10%. I think what that's saying, and I'm just assuming, I think because of all this ad stuff, and especially if people do that dynamic ad rate option, people don't want it to get out of hand themselves. And so maybe they're setting a cap. And maybe because the cap is at 10%, like I was showing in the example, maybe that's why there's so many. Like, how is it that across so many categories, and that was, of course, just a few of all the different options, but you would think that most of them would be similar regardless, right? In any given category, despite the different types of items. How is it that a lot of them are exactly 10%? right? Across categories, across like totally different categories, exactly 10%. And under even, I'm actually surprised by that. And I would think, if I just had to guess, that in part that would be due to maybe people are like, you know what, I ain't about to play this game and get, be paying 12, 13, 15% for the most part, and that brings the suggested ad rates down. I don't know. That's just something to think about. But that's something you need to be aware of. So let's recap. eBay has the dynamic ad rate option now, where you can allow eBay to adjust your ad rate daily based on the daily suggested ad rate. And within that option, you have further options to either put a cap on what you're willing to pay. That means you can say, hey, I'll do this, eBay, but don't go over 8%. If the suggested ad rate today is 10, I'm cool at 8. Or you can say, you know what, eBay, I'll cap it at 15, but I do want to go. I guess that would make sense. I'm not sure. I want to hear your opinion on this. I'll cap it at 15, but I want to go actually a percent over whatever the daily is. I don't even see why you would do that. So I think maybe you would just say, you know what, I'm not necessarily going to cap it, but I also want to go under whatever the daily is. So if the daily is 10%, I want to go 1% under that. I feel like that's just too much. Just go 9%. Yeah, I guess that would make sense though. Since the daily kind of changes, you can go a little bit under whatever that daily is despite the change without having to go back and check yourself and readjust it, right? So it would save you time in that sense. So if my daily is 10% today, I want to go under that by 1%. I only want to go 9. Then tomorrow is 12%. That would still put me at 11. I guess you can do it that way. Or you can go over that. So and put you above what everybody else, even though I don't know why you would go over it. But so anyway, you can choose that option, and within that option, you have a little bit more control over how much you would pay eBay by setting a cap or setting a buffer to go above or under the daily rate. And as we just seen, interestingly enough, most categories at this point right now are around that 10% range anyway. However, also what we went over is the fact that not even considering if you run in a sale, not even considering if you make taking an offer, what the fees are going to add up to if you're doing this, right? You need to know what those fees are going to add up to. Because if you're selling a $20 item and you're taking into account the category fee, the referral fee, and then your promoted fee, that can take you down fairly low, guys, especially if you're selling items that already have a low profit margin. And then aside from the fact that if you take an offer, you're running a sale, that adds even more. So those fees, put a 10% sale on top of that. Put a 15% sale on top of that. Put an offer on top of that you accept that's 20% lower than what you was asking for. You ain't even thinking about it because you already, and what if that offer's coming through a promoted listing rate that you got already at 10%, you took a 20% offer because you ain't really thinking, you just like, oh, I wanted 20, off 15, I'll take. You ain't thinking about it because you still got to pay that promoted, even because if that offer came through a promoted listing, you still got to pay that fee. All I'm saying, I'm not saying don't do it. It's up to you as a business owner. It's up to you as a business owner. Me, myself, if I was all in on eBay and it was my all day, everyday business, I probably would do it to give myself an edge over the competition because I know most people won't. I might do it or at least test it out, right? But I would know my numbers and I would understand what I'm doing and I would always be looking at how much of a return on investment I'm getting off of that ad rate. So I'm not saying don't do it or do it. All I'm saying is if you're going to do it, you need to understand the numbers and you need to understand how much it's going to cost you. You have to know that. I showed you the two calculators, Omni Calculator and the eProfit Calculator. Use those. I keep those phones on my app all the time. I keep those apps on my phone all the time. Those phones on my app. I keep those apps on my phone and I use them all the time, man. And they come and help a lot. They really do. Very helpful app. So if you found this video helpful, man, do me a favor. hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so the next time I upload a video, you'll be one of the first to be notified. And let me know your comments on this. Drop some comments in the drop your thoughts down in the comments below, and let me know if you'll be partaking or if not, and if so, why will you or why won't you? I'm interested to know what you think about it. And also, don't forget the group. Join the group. I do want to get some things going there. It's a free group. If you're new, you're going to want to join because this is a no hassle group, right? You won't be hassled about your questions. Ain't no stupid question. Ain't no you've been told we answered this 1,000 times. I want to help people out. And if you want some help, join the group. All right.